إن الحمد لله نحمده حمدا كثيرا طيبا كما يستحق كل محامد. هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق وبلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده. ترك الأمة على البيضاء ليلها كنهارها ولا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. صلى الله على نبينا وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. طيب my brothers, we covered last week chapter on tatayyur. What's the difference between tatayyur wal-'iyaf? Were you here last week? No. Do you remember different tatayyur? What is tatayyur? Do you remember?
I wasn't here last week.
You weren't-
When you let a bird,
Tatayyur, yeah.
when you let a bird go and which direction it goes depends on what you think is going to happen.
You just want tatayyur in tiyara, a bird. What's the difference between tatayyur and iyaf then? Iyaf, zajrud tayr, to let the bird go and they'll determine their future. So what's the difference between tatayyur and iyaf? Do you remember?
Yafa was specific to the birds.
Mm.
Tatayyur was seeing omens.
Yeah.
Seeing things, signs of omens and stuff.
Because they gave tiara to Musa alayhi salam and the believers. Bad omen. What I mean is that Musa alayhi salam came with Iman and Tawheed and Islam. And the Pharaoh and people thought this is a bad omen that's happening to us because of Musa alayhi salam and his people. So that's the difference between tatayyur and iyaf. That's what Allah said, أَلَا إِنَّمَا طَائِرُهُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. So Allah saying, not Musa, it is everything happened by the will of Allah. It's in the hand of Allah. Okay, not Musa and his people. Okay, but most of the people don't know that. طيب. What is لا عدوى ولا تيرة ولا حامة ولا صفر? What is عدى? لا عدوى. لا عدوى. What do you mean by عدوى يا أخي? Covered last week. لا عدوى ولا طيرة ولا هامة. No one knows that? عدوى? أظهر?
I don't know.
Adwa is the form of disease, isn't it? Basically that passes on people. So here Prophet ﷺ denying Adwa to say that Adwa is something that exists, okay, is there, but it doesn't passes on except by the will of Allah. That's what it means. Adwa. ولا عدوى. طيب, the next question is ولا عدوى ولا طيرة. We covered that. ولا هامة. What is hama?
Owl. They believe that when a person died, an owl would take place or something like that.
Certainly, yeah, and that's what it is. Hama. And the lastly, ولا صفرة. What is صفرة? Do you remember صفرة?
Journey,
لا, not seen صفر. No? It's a month after Muharram. Go on.
They believed that Safar was a particularly bad month, so they won't do anything like marry or anything like that.
Yeah, though it's a month they will have bad omens, pessimistic on that month, yeah. So the Prophet denying all this, because why? That these things doesn't happen because of anyone's will except by the will of Allah. So Safar is the month exists, but anything happen by the will of Allah. It's got nothing to do with the month. Then the next hadith continues, Zada wala naw'a wala ghula. Naw'a, we're going to cover this today. Naw is the stars. We're going to cover this. And ghula, what is ghula? Imagination. What does it mean then here?
Like hallucination.
Yeah, illusion, yeah. You believe them, they see things. but you seek forgiveness from Allah. We covered all this, alhamdulillah. طيب باب اليوم إن شاء الله باب ما جاء في التنجيم. Chapter on Tanjim. What is Tanjim? From the word Tanjim is Najm. Okay, Tanjim is from the word Najjama, Yunajjim. Tanjim means astrology, to look into the stars and things like that. Relate to the stars, basically. Okay. Now, that's what Tanjim is. And Khattabi said that Tanjim هو ما يدعيه أهل التنجيم من علم الكوائن والحوادث التي لم تقع وستقع في مستقبل الزمان كأخبارهم بأوقات الحبوط الرياح والمطر والظهور حر والبدر أو برد. طيب, he said that Tanjim is the people who claim that they have knowledge of things that will take place or have taken place and that they will take place in future, okay, in times, and they will tell you about the winds and things like that, when the rain will come and the heat and the cold, things like that. So Munajjim, okay, is the people who deal with the stars and they do things like that. They tell you about the futures. So what is the ruling of Munajjim? Is Munajjim kuffar or Munajjim Muslims? Now the ulama have answered this question and they've said that Munajjim are two types of Tanjim. One is the Munajjim who tell you about ilm al-ghaib, knowledge of unseen, and looking at the stars, and they believe that anything that happens in the heaven and the earth because of the stars, rains, shine, any catastrophe that happens, it's the stars that controls it. So this Munajjim is a kafir. The second Munajjim is that they don't believe like that. They say everything happened by the will of Allah, okay, but the asbab, they're the means. Because of those, this is happening. And the ulama said this is also kufr because even asbab is from Allah. It's not from the stars. Stars cannot be asbab, cannot be a mean. Okay? They've got nothing to do with the creation, nothing to do with what's happening in the heaven and the earth. They have no control, they have no power. So the second category of Tanjim is minor shirk. Okay, it's minor shirk. So Munajjim can be any of those. Depend what he believes. So Tanjim, can we say now Tanjim haram in totality? La, it's not. Tanjims are two types. One is called Ta'thir and Taysir. Ta'thir is again two types who believe that the stars has an effect on the heaven and the earth. They control everything. Okay, you know the people who worship stars in the moon. And they believe that you have to worship those stars in order to get that. Okay, to gain whatever they want, the request, the demand, they have to worship the stars. Some people worship the crescent, billah. So this is called ta'thir. The astrology relate to effect. All this effect that takes place because of the stars. And the second type is that they believe that it is the mean, asbab. All this happening in the heaven and they are the means. Okay, actually Allah is doing this, but they are just the mean. Both are haram anyway, both are shirk. The first one is major and the second one is minor shirk. That's ta'thir. Tasir, which is allowed, that it is necessary for the ummah to learn knowledge of stars, the movement, to determine your qibla and things like that, your North Pole, South Pole, things like that. These are allowed in Sharia. So these are the different categories of Tanjim, and this is the hukm of it, inshallah. قال البخاري في صحيحه قال قتادة خلق الله هذه النجوم لثلاثة: زينة للسماء، ورجوما للشياطين، وعلامة يهتدى بها، فمن تعول فيها غير ذلك أخطأ وأضاع نصيبه وتكلف ما لا علم له به. طيب, Qatada is one of the great Imam in al-Salaf, one of the students of Ibn Abbas, Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, one of the Tabi'i. His father was a Sahabi, Abu Qatada. He said Allah Azza wa Jal created the stars for three things. Obviously Allah is the creator of the heaven and the earth. He created everything. And everything in the heaven and the earth, Allah created for a purpose. Okay? Stars and the moon, the night and the day, the trees, everything has a purpose for us. Likewise, the stars has a purpose for us. Okay, and Qatada gives the tafsir. He says first, it's created for zinata lis-sama. So stars are beautification of the heaven and the earth. And they are not to be worshipped. They should be there to beautify the heaven and the earth. And Allah mentions many verses in the Quran that Allah created the stars for the beauty of the heaven and the earth. طيب, so zinat is-sama, zina is the beautification of the heaven and the earth, the stars. That's the first thing. And Allah says in the Quran, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ اللَّيْلُ وَالنَّهَارُ وَالشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ لَا تَسْجُدُوا لِلشَّمْسِ وَلَا لِلْقَمَرِ وَاسْجُدُوا لِلَّهِ الَّذِي خَلَقَهُنَّ إِن كُنتُمْ إِيَّاهُ تَعْبُدُونَ. Allah said that from the sign of Allah, night and the day, stars and the moon. Okay? And Allah said, do not make sajda to this creation, but make sajda to Allah, who is the creator of them. So stars and the moon, stars, night and sun and the moon, night and the day, these are the sign of Allah, the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. We do not worship them. So stars is one of the creation of Allah, which beautifies the heaven and the earth. Next one is rujumul lishayateen. Second, rujumul lishayateen, that stars, Allah Azza wa Jal, He placed them to chase away the shooting stars, to chase away the jinns when they go to steal the hearing what in the heaven. So the jinn can go up and they can hear the malaika, they're discussing about certain things that take place in future. So jinn goes and they hear it and they communicate with the fortune tellers. So the stars are created to protect that from the jinn. So they will chase away the jinn. That's one of the second type reason why Allah created the stars. And the third one is alamat, signs for the people to be guided by. You know, the stars Allah created for a purpose. That's one of the purpose, is to guide the people in the night. I'm sure, I don't know if you experience in this country, but if you go to certain country, Arab or Asia, you will see that in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, the stars comes out, it brightens the earth, it brightens it in the evening. You don't need a torchlight. So people can walk and they can travel along the earth because of the stars out to guide them. وَبِالنَّجْمِ هُمْ يَهْتَدُونَ. And they're guided because of the stars. يعني the tariqah, the path shown. Allah showed the people path through the stars. And when they come out, it brightens everything. Subhanallah, I've seen that. You don't need a torchlight. Or you can drive a car without a headlight. MashaAllah. So the stars are there for that purpose, to guide the people. So Qatada radiallahu anhu, he's telling us the stars are for this purpose. What does he say after that? So it's for beauty of the heaven and the earth, it's for shooting stars, chasing away the jinn, stealing the hearing. Okay. Thirdly, to guide the people in the evening. Okay. And then he says, فَمَنْ تَعَوَّلَ فِيهَا غَيْرَ ذَلِكَ. Whoever explains other than that or uses other than that, then he has made mistake and he did not give the right to it. Okay? You haven't given the right to the stars. Now you're going to say stars protects the heaven and the earth. Everything happened by the stars. The rain comes down by the stars. Then you have translated it in wrong way. You have put it in the wrong place. You have oppressed. That's not what stars for. This is the three reasons what stars for, as Qatada said. وَتَكَلَّفَ مَا لَا عِلْمَ لَهُ بِهِ. And he burdened the knowledge in the wrong place. He put the knowledge in the wrong place. And this is not, that's how it should be. So if someone says, stars are for beautification of the heaven and the earth, for shooting, to chase away the jinns, and to guide the people, then he's spoken the haqq. Other than these three things are not allowed. You can't. Okay, that's what Qatada is saying, rahimahullah. So then here it says, كره قتادة تعلم منازل القمر لم يرخص ابن عتيبة فيه ذكره حرب عنهما ورخص في تعلم المنازل أحمد وإسحاق. Now next, Qatada basically, he says that he disliked kiraha min makruh. Kiraha shar'an, basically when the word kiraha is used in Sharia, it means tahrim, min haram. But other than that, if there are other evidences to say other than tahrim, it's makruh. Makruh is something that if you do it, you don't get sin. If you leave it, you get reward for it. That's what kiraha is. So Qatada, he disliked learning manazil al-qamar. Manazil al-qamar is lunar calendar, if you know what I mean. Learning the stages of the stars. We haven't studied that, we won't know, but manazil al-qamar, Qatada, he disliked it. Lunar phases, that's what it translates, lunar phases in the translation. So Qatada disliked it, min makruh, meaning that if you learn, you're not sinful for it. If you leave it, you get reward for it. It's not haram. But some of the Salaf, he's basically saying if you learn it, you're not sinful for it. If you leave it, you get reward for it. That's what Qatada is saying. But some of the ulama like Imam Ahmad and Ishaq ibn Rahaway, they allowed to learn manazil al-qamar, because learning those knowledge which we need in our life to enable us to know the qibla, okay, enable us to know the direction of the prayers and other stuff, okay, which we need. So that's okay, learning the directions, things like that. But if they're going to use to know, determine the rain and sun when it's going to come using the stars, then that's haram. But when Ahmad and Ishaq ibn Rahawai, they allow it, that's what it means. So yes, if you're going to do that, la bas, inshallah, you can learn the manazil al-qamar. But Qatada dislikes it. So I hope you understand that, inshallah. And Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu قال رسول الله ثلاثة لا يدخل الجنة مدمن الخمر وقاطع الرحم مصدق بالسحر. Now here, the last hadith on this chapter is that Abu Musa al-Ash'ari said, I heard Messenger said that 3 persons will never enter Jannah. Okay, 3 persons will not enter Jannah. So this negation here, will not enter Jannah, means a negation of not absolute, it's partial, which means that person, okay, if he goes to Jahannam, still Muslim, will come out from Jahannam and will go to Jannah, inshallah. And who are these 3 people? Now, Mudmin al-Khamar, those alcoholic, Qati' al-Rahim, those who separate the kinship, Musaddiq bil-Sihr, who believes in Sihr magic, yani Tanjim, talking about. Let's take one by one. So we have established that, the ulama says, these 3 people will not enter Jannah, means that maybe they will enter Jahannam, they will come out from it, because they're Muslims. Now, in this issue, we have people who differed in that. First of all, are the Khawarij, because drinking alcohol, breaking the kinship, relatives, kinship, breaking it, ties, and believing Tanjim, these are all major sins. So, under this, 3 categories people. First of all, the Khawarij. The Khawarij and the Mu'tazila, they are Ahlul Bid'ah, they are from the Muslims. Khawarij are from Muslims, they are upon Dalala. They believe that anyone falling to major sins, they're kafirs. Okay? Until they don't make Tawbah. Okay, so if they die upon it, they die upon kafir, and in Yawm al-Qiyamah, they will be in Jahannam forever. Okay, so the Mu'tazila says, but Mu'tazila said in dunya they will be between the two stations. Okay, and which means these two stations is they're not believer, not a mu'min. That's what it is. And if they die as a disbeliever. Yawm al-Qiyamah, they will be thrown into the hell for eternity. This is a belief of the Khawarij, and we have many evidences to say that someone commit major sin, still a believer. Allah says in Surah Hujurat, وَإِن طَائِفَتَانِ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ اقْتَتَلُوا. That when the two groups of believers fight, rectified. How do we know? How is this in evidence? Allah said, if two believers fight, fighting is a major sin, not a major sin. What is it? Yes. It is major sin. But Allah calls them believers. وَإِن طَائِفَتَانِ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Allah described them believers. He said believers even after they're fighting, rectified. Many other evidences we can use. Okay? So Ahlul Sunnah will give their opinion. So the Khawarij, that's their opinions. And they're dogs of the hell because of their bid'ah they have spread it. So under this, Khawarij and Mu'tazila, that's one extreme. The disbelievers, the Murtakibul Kabira, they're disbelievers. And from the Quran Sunnah, you never find that. Look, Hadith of Prophet in Sahih al-Bukhari. A woman, she was a prostitute. She fed a dog. Prophet said, I saw her in Jannah. She was committing major sin. And Allah loved the action so much, she fed the dog, or she gave water to the dog, and Prophet said, I saw her in Jannah. So how can she be in Jannah when she was committing major sin? There's so many we can give. So many examples we can give. My brothers. Tayyib. Second type of people are Murji'ah. They say that Iman stables. It doesn't go up and down. So whatever major sin you commit, it doesn't have an effect in your Iman. Okay, and that's another extreme, Yadu Billah, Irja. Iman goes up and down. So that's another extreme. And the Ahlul Sunnah, Ahlul Hadith, and in Ummatul Wasat, in the middle part, they said, if someone commit major sin, okay, he's a fasiq bi murtakib al-kabira. That he's a fasiq because of the major sin, okay, and he's a mu'min because of his Iman. Okay, he's a believer because of his Iman. It's Ibn Taymiyyah in Wasat, inshallah. We'll cover this when we study that. Tayyib. So he's fasiq because of that, for the major sin that he has committed. So Ahlul Sunnah, okay, they do not take a person who commits major sins to be out of fold of Islam. Okay, as long as he doesn't make it halal. But if he falls into it from the Quran and Sunnah, they're still a believer. There are many evidences. طيب. So ثلاثة لا يدخل الجنة. Three people will not enter Jannah. What it means? That they will not enter Jannah straight away, maybe they'll be punished and they will be taken into Jannah for later on. But they're still a believer. Okay, they're still a believer. Mudmin al-Khamr. Khamr, called Khamr because, you know, you go Khimar. What does women do with Khimar? They cover their head, isn't it? So when you drink alcohol, Khamr, you Khammir. It covers your head. You can't think anymore. You don't have understanding. You can't think properly. That's called Khimar. And the Khamr comes from that. And when someone drinks alcohol, his intellect is not there anymore. He can't think properly. It covers his head. Yadu Billah. So, Khamar is major sin. There's so many evidences. Prophet said that Shurbul Khamir Ka'abadatul Wathan. That the one who drinks alcohol is like the idol worshipper. It doesn't mean kafir, is because it's a major sin. It shows it's a major sin. When Prophet is linking that with that, it shows it's a major sin. Prophet Allah Azza wa Jal put drinking alcohol with shirk. Another hadith says that Shurbul Khamr Ummul Fawahish. That drinking alcohol is the mother of all filth. Filth, he described. So there are many hadiths that where Prophet ﷺ described alcohol like this, and drinking alcohol is that it is major sin, it is haram. So someone drinks alcohol, okay, his punishment is that he will not enter Jannah, meaning that if he doesn't make tawbah to Allah, Yawmul Qiyamah, he's under Mashiach of Allah, under the will of Allah. Meaning that he's still a Muslim. If Allah wants to punish him, he will punish him. If he wants to forgive him, he will forgive him. Because still he's a Muslim. He's a murtakibul kabira. He's committed a major sin. So such person will not be looked at. So if he goes into the hellfire, he will be there for some time. Then Allah will take him out. Okay, la yadkhul jannah, he will enter Jannah, but he will be there for a long time. وَقَاطِعَ raham. Somebody cuts the kinship, meaning they had a problem, they don't talk to each other anymore. Khalas, no more talking for 3 days, past 3 days, yadu billah. This is major sins. This is major sins. And qati raham, silatul raham we say, opposite is silatul raham. Okay, qati raham, you're cutting the connection, silatul raham, you're bringing it together. So the ulama said, Ibn Uthaymin, the true silatul raham is that when a family is breaking, you bring them together. That's the proper silatul raham. Sila means connecting it. Raham is kinship. So you're connecting them when they're breaking away. You bring them together and they're breaking away. That's what it is. Like one of the Sahabi was doing that. You know, they'll break and they'll bring their heart together. So the Prophet said that if you know what you're doing, then you know you will be rewarded for that. So qatur raham is one of the major sins, yadu billah. So if someone has a problem with the kinship, it doesn't have to be relative, could be your brother in Islam. If you're going to break the kinship, you have to bring it together. Because breaking is haram. It's a major sin. And, and bringing heart together, okay, is the huge reward in that. And the hadith says for 3 days, if he doesn't talk to one another, they can't, they have to, after 3 days, someone have to speak out. Okay, you can't stop speaking to each other for more than 3 days. Not allowed. So, qati rahim is cutting the kinship. So that's major sin. Why is it major sin? When Allah said, Prophet said that la yadkhulul jannah, he will not enter Jannah. When something is mentioned like this, for regarding a certain action, show that action is a major sin. So qati rahim, if you do it, you will not enter Jannah, meaning Allah will punish the person, and eventually he will take him out and put him in Jannah, inshallah. Musaddiq bis-sihr. He believes in sihr. Sihr, I mean, my brothers, is the tanjim. And tanjim is one of the type of sihr, because it has an effect on people. Subhanallah. So the munajjim, when he looks at the stars, and he believes in the stars, and he determined the future through the movement of the stars, okay, it has an effect on people, and that's form of sihr, okay. And we have mentioned that depend on his belief, it can be major shirk, it can be minor shirk, tanjim. And tanjim does exist nowadays. It's a fortune teller that exists as well in our time. So, these 3 people will not enter Jannah. Okay, so it shows that it's major sin. It's major sin. And the people are differed on this are 3 we've mentioned: the Khawarij, the Murji'ah, and the Ahlul Hadith. So let's go to the next, inshallah, next chapter. Babu Maja fil Istisqa bil Anwa. Okay, now this chapter is similar to what we've covered before. Chapter on Istisqa bil Anwa. Istisqa means seeking rain through stars. Okay, now we have Salatul Istisqa, prayer of seeking rain. This is Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And Salatul Istisqa is one of the tatawwu', one of the prayer, nafila. And nafila, a different type of nafila. The nafila you pray jama'ah, okay? Tatawwu', yusalli fil jama'ah, that is Salatul Istisqa, Salatul Kasuf, Salatul Tarawih. These are nafila you pray in jama'ah, okay? And you have tatawwu' nafila, tusalli munfaridan, you pray individually. And that is 2 types. Mu'ayyin, that is the sunnah of the rawatib. Okay? Sunnah of the rawatib, mu'ayyin, specific. And the sunnah, you pray individually with mutlaq. That is absolute. For example, you pray before Jum'ah, when you go in there is no sunnah for Jum'ah. You pray as long as you want, until Allah wills for you to do that. So istisqa is one of the salatul istisqa, is salatul tatawwu'. But here we are talking about people seeking rain. When we make salatul istisqa, we make it to Allah, isn't it? Okay? When it's a drought or something like that, you make dua. You pray 2 rak'ah, you make dua to Allah. But we're talking about here making dua to Anwa. Anwa is stars. Now in Jahiliyyah, it was very common to the people of the Jahiliyyah that when there is a drought or famine, they will call upon Anwa. They call upon stars. Okay? And they believe the stars has power and to bring down the rain. Okay? Their power to control the heaven, and anything that happened because of the stars. So in Jahiliyyah they would do this. Salatul istisqa bil Anwa. And this is again fall under Tanjim. You know, La naw'ah. You know naw'ah we said? Prophet not denying naw'ah doesn't exist. It means that there's the stars got nothing to do with the heaven and the earth. Nothing. Okay? So when Prophet said there's no stars, mean the stars has no effect on the heaven and the earth. Everything happened by the will of Allah, not the stars. Stars is a creation of Allah. It doesn't control whatever happened in the heaven and the earth. It doesn't control anything. It's only Allah who controls. That's what Prophet is denying it. But stars exist. If you look up, you see the stars. Tayyib. So in Jahiliyyah, that's what they would do. So we can categorize when it comes to istisqa bin Anwa, is that those who believe the stars have control of the heaven and the earth, okay, and like the Tanjim we have said, this is major shirk. If they believe it is means and things like that, reason, then it is a minor shirk. But generally, Ahlul Jahiliyyah, they would believe the stars has powers and things like that. Like time of Ibrahim alayhi salam, you know. So istisqa, my brothers, we make istisqa through Allah. We ask Allah, not the stars. We know that, alhamdulillah. But Jahiliyyah, they would do this. Now look, Allah says in the Quran, وَتَجْعَلُونَ رِزْقَكُمْ أَنَّكُمْ تُكَذِّبُونَ. That you make your risk, okay, on the stars. Yani, rizq is provisions. Razq with fatah on the ra is a sifa min sifatillah azza wa jal. So Allah is al-Razzaq and the sifa is al-Razq. And the rizq is the actual provision, the drink and all that, the house and the ni'mah. These are all rizq from Allah azza wa jal. So what Allah is saying is that you people, you seek the rain through the stars. Okay, you put your risk on them. Yani, the stars gave you the risk. Okay, and you're disbelievers. You deny. You deny Allah's ni'mah. You deny Allah's blessing. So here, risk are different types of risk. Risk mu'ayyin and risk mutlaq. Mutlaq, general risk or risk aam wal khas. We just put it like this. General risk, general provisions, and that include Muslim and non-Muslims. Okay? Your work, your health, your house, your shelter, everything. These are risks from Allah Azza wa Jal. These are all risks from Allah Azza wa Jal. And the risk khas for the believers. Halal. The most important risk is al-Islam, which is only for the believers. Okay? Your health, your halal provisions, your food and drink halal. These are risks from Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay? So the believers, they make the risk to Allah. They believe the risk comes from Allah Azza wa Jal. He is the provider. He is the giver. And that's what Allah calls al-Razzaq. Okay? The provider. He always provides. And even though He is the provider for the shaitan and the non-Muslims. Okay? And your body is a risk from Allah Azza wa Jal. Our body is a risk from Allah. Okay? It's how we use the risk. Okay? And Ibn al-Qayyim talks about even the body that we have in us. People are different categories. First of all, non-Muslims. Okay? They use their body, which is risk from Allah, whatever they want to use it for. Haram way. Okay, the most important thing, they don't believe in Allah. So their first important part of the using this risk is gone out of the window. They don't believe in Allah Azza wa Jalla. Okay? That's non-Muslims. Among the Muslims are two types. The Muslims who use the body of Allah in halal way, sometimes the haram way, earning haram. Okay? They believe the heart is a risk, and they believe the wrong belief that they have in their heart, which is not been used in halal way. Also, among the Muslims who use the body, not good way. So partially good way, partially bad way. You have Muslims doing that. And the third category of the Muslims who use the body as a risk of Allah in halal way are the believers. Okay, the practicing believers. Okay, Muslims who practice their deen and they use their body in Allah's cause, reciting Quran, memorizing, learning the belief which is the heart possessed with the right belief. Okay, they walk to halal places. Okay, they go to the masajid, they go to the durus. Okay, so this is the body Ibn Qayyim talks about. They use halal way, risk. They use the risk in the cause of Allah Azza wa Jal. طيب يا إخوة, so they make the risk, they attribute the risk to the anwa, to the stars. Okay, whatever they worship the stars. They believe the stars is their provider for them. طيب يا إخوة, so we've taken the ayah, we've explained what istisqa is. We'll continue the rest of the hadith next week, inshallah, on this chapter. We'll finish next week. Jazakumullah khair. So, any questions, inshallah?
A couple weeks ago we said that Bilal, the older son of Abdul, said that he wouldn't let his wife go to the masjid. Abdullah ibn Umar said that he wouldn't want to speak to him. Does that fall under breaking kinship?
Okay, that's a good question. Now, breaking the kinship, two ways. One happened because of dunya, matter of dunya. And it happens over money and things like that. Brother will not talk to your brother over a land, over money, over this and that. I know, brothers, it's all dunya, akhi. That's haram. They make hajar, not based on Quran and Sunnah. Okay? This is haram boycotting. This is haram hajar. The second type of hajar which is halal. This is what the Ibn Umar one did. Okay, it's halal. Ahlul bid'ah, you make hajar from them. I boycott them. I'm going to break their kinship from the based on the Sharia of Allah Azza wa Jalla. That's allowed. We can do that. And Ibn Umar did it because the love of the Sharia he loved the Sharia more than his son Bilal. So he said, I'll never talk to you until Yawm al-Qiyamah. For love of the deen, love of the Sunnah. Because why? He warned him. He said to him, I gave you hadith. If you accepted the hadith, he would have not said that. But he gave him the hadith. Even after hadith, he gave it to him. He said, I will still not send my wife to the masjid. How do you think he's going to feel now? I'm giving a hadith and you're rejecting the hadith. I'm not going to talk to you for the rest of the life until Yawm al-Qiyamah. And that's love of the deen though. That's okay. That's different. Okay. And many evidence are there like that. So this type of boycotting is halal. It is allowed to do, can be done, but after bayan though. You have to explain. You can't just say, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Maybe what are you talking about? I haven't done nothing. So he explained. So that's Ibn Umar did. He gave him the hadith, and then after he got the hadith, he still rejected it. And we explain why he rejected, not because he doesn't believe the hadith. He believed this is not time for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I don't believe it's suitable time to go send my wife to the masjid. It's not time. We're living a time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So ulama, that's how they explain. So this type of boycotting is allowed, inshallah. Yeah. Go on.
You said there's two types of risk. There's mutallaq and mustallaq.
Aam and khas, general and specific. Khas is specific, and that's for the believers only. Yeah, believers. Go on, look at it.
All the two types of tatawwu' salah, salawat.
Okay, tatawwu', this is Ibn Qudama mentions. We'll cover this in Fingi as well, in Umda. Tatawwu', he explained tatawwu', which are two types. If it's the first type of tatawwu', you pray jama'at, like istisqa. Salatul istisqa, seeking rain. So what you do, you pray 2 rak'ah with the imam, and then everyone raise. In the Majh happened. Allah, after 1 hour it was flooding. Rain came. Allah Akbar. This is halal. Why are you asking Allah? The one who created the rain. Okay? Like Tarawih, Kasuf, Salatul Kasuf. These are prayed in Jama'ah. Okay? But they're tatawwu, they were nafila. Then Ibn Qudama says, second type of nafila is you pray individually. And he said there are two types. Mu'ayyin, which is the rawatib. After every salawat and before salawat you pray sunan. That's mu'ayyin, specific. Okay, and then he said, another type of sunnah you pray yourself is mutlaq, which is you can pray anytime as long as you don't pray in haram time. So you come to Jum'ah prayer, before the Imam comes, you pray as long as you want. Because there's a hadith. The Prophet said that whoever goes to Jum'ah, actually he baths in himself, he puts perfume, and he walks to the masjid, okay, and he doesn't talk to anyone. He goes to the masjid, and he prays as long as Allah wills. So that shows, the ulama says, sunnatul mutlaq. He prays as long as Allah wish here. And the athar are there where some of the Sahabas, Ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Umar, they prayed 6 rak'ah, 8 rak'ah until the Imam comes. So this is mutlaq. So before Jum'ah, there's no rawatib. There's no rawatib of Jum'ah. After Jum'ah is. Okay? So these are types of tatawwu', inshallah. Ibn Qudama mentions in Mughni.
The sunnah before Jumu'ah prayer, that is nothing, right?
This is nothing to do with Jum'ah. Our masajid, they pray 4 rak'ah. It's not Dhuhr prayer. It is Jum'ah prayer. That's why you have khutbah. And Jum'ah and Dhuhr, two different salah. Okay? And in Jum'ah, you don't have a rawatib before. Only sunnah prayer you pray is as long as Imam comes. You pray. You can pray 2 rak'ah tahiyatul masjid and read Quran. You can say, I'm going to pray two until the Imam comes. That's okay as well. But it is not, it's got nothing to do with Jum'ah. It is not Ratibah. Yeah.
You know, I heard on Jum'ah, I recently researched this, that on Jum'ah, you can continue praying even though it's like the Zawal time or the haram time to pray. On Jum'ah it doesn't.
Yeah, because some of the scholars, Jazakallah khair, some of the scholars said the Sunnatul Mutlaq, you can pray certain times like that. Yeah.
What did you say the 3 types of tanjeem?
Tanjeems, 2 types. One we say major kufr, one is minor kufr. Major one is that munajjim, those deal with astrology, they believe the stars control the heaven and the earth. Because of them, because of the stars, we get the rain and the shine. Okay, they control it. That's major shirk. Minor shirk is that if they use as a mean, they believe Allah is the causer, but this is just a mean. Like amulet. Major and minor as well. Same thing. So that's what 2 types of tanjeem the ulama mentioned.
You said ta'thir
The ta'thir is the one is halal, which is allowed. Okay? Ta'thir, which is haram, which is shirk. And we said there are 2 types. It can be major, it can be minor as well. Ta'thir, which is effective, the effect on the people that believe, the stars has effect. What happening on the heaven and the earth? The rain comes, the star, because the effect of the stars, not because of Allah. That's major shirk. And the second, they say that someone believes that, but he believes Allah is the one sending it, but through the stars. They are the mean of it, the reason for the stars. Okay? So this is a minor shirk. That's ta'thir. Ta'thir means the stars and affect everything that's happened on the heaven and the earth. Yeah.
Is that ta'thir for both of them?
Yeah, both of them, yeah. And the ta'thir is which is halal. We said scholars allow you to learn, like learning the knowledge of stars, to know the directions, okay, North Pole, South Pole, whatever, to know where the Qibla is, direction of the prayer. These are mubah, this is allowed, we need to know, so we can do things like that. These are 2 types of tanjeem the ulama mentioned there. Is it okay?
You said Allah can use the stars to. What's an example?
Which one?
The second one. Not the one that where they believe that the stars control them.
I see the allowed halal one. Which is allowed?
The minor shirk one.
Or minor shirk is we say minor shirk is like, for example, person believes that Allah is the one who gives rain, but this is the mean. They're mean.
From the stars.
Yeah, they mean. Like the amulet. Someone with an amulet, he says, no, Allah is the curer, but he's just a mean. But you can't take amulet as a mean. Medicine to Allah, Prophet legislated, these are means. But these are no means. Amulet are not used as a mean for cure. Sahabas never used it. Prophet never used it. Understand? So the medicines are means. Yeah, go on.
You're talking about like the evil eye necklace.
Your necklace and all that. But people are different categories when it comes to amulet. So, and generally, I know they say, we believe Allah is the one who cured, but I'm just wearing as a mean for this. But it's still a shirk, isn't it? This is not used as a mean. Never been used.
The word that you used was asbab.
Asbab, yeah. Asbab or sabab. Sabab is the singular of asbab, means, yeah, a reason, yeah. Is that okay? Go on.
You know, Sheikh, this day and age, a lot of people they start talking about something called star signs and things like that. Like if you're born in a particular month or in a particular part of the year, you resemble this type of star sign.
Yeah, these are all like Abdul Karim saying, it's in the newspapers, you get this. This is all haram. Because what you're doing, you're putting the qadr on this. This is determine your, he will decide your qadr. A'udhu billah. Like La Safara, Prophet said it's a month. Prophet saying there's no month. Like Safar is this, after Muharram is Safar. But what Prophet saying is that there's no good luck and bad luck on this month. Everything happens by the will of Allah. So like this, the stars, they use the stars for your good luck and bad luck. And things. A'udhu billah. Yeah, this star's bad luck, this is good luck. La. Yeah, Jazakallah khair.
Some people say that if you're born in a particular month, like for example, say if you're born in the summer, then generally people like have these certain characteristics because you join school at the same time and then like you leave school at the same time and therefore you have like similar characteristics.
It's similar things because if you say my son or daughter born summer and it's good, something good, okay, so yeah, I mean, you just fall into that as well, yeah. Look, at the end of the day, we can't give anything to do the Zaman. Zaman has no power or anything like that. When Prophet's son Ibrahim died, eclipse happened, yeah? And Prophet said eclipse, Prophet said in the hadith, the stars and the moon does not eclipse because of somebody's death or somebody's life. Stars eclipse got nothing to do with that. But people start giving start believing good luck. So what the brother is saying, certain people believe that, and it's not right because summer and winter doesn't mean anything. It's in the hand of Allah. We have to give everything in the hand of Allah. Okay, so that keeping to that belief slowly. We have to be careful. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's say someone commits a sin and then something bad happens in their life, and then they link these together. They say, "So this bad thing happened because of this sin I did." Is this allowed?
Yeah, no, it's not allowed.
Coincidence.
Yeah, no, you can't allow. You can't say your sin happened because of that. Like Prophet said that whoever the hadith says that if you attribute certain things like that, it's shirk, because you committed sin not because of that. You committed sin because whatever reason you committed, you can't attribute it to time or period. This is not from the Sharia of Allah. So if you give me example like if someone drink a khamr, he drank khamr because bad luck, bad day for me, or something like that. You can't blame the day. You drunk because you are alcoholic or your iman is weak. You disobeyed Allah, not because of it's got nothing to do with the zaman or time or period. Nothing. You shouldn't be attributed.
What about the other way of stuff? So they commit the sin, then something bad happens to them, and then they say this bad thing happened because of the sin I did.
That can be acceptable because sin leads to sin, isn't it? Sins can lead to the sins. Because when Iblis make you commit sin, he doesn't make you commit sin through stages, isn't it? Like the people of the Nuh alayhi salam. Look what happens, slowly. And the man, Talbis Iblis, Ibn al-Jawzi mentions the story of the scholar who was top of the mountain. And when he was given a woman to look after, how did the sin took place? Stages, isn't it? Eventually he made sajda to Iblis. Yadbillah. So you can commit sin because of a sin, because when you commit sin, one sin leads to another sin. Like for example, I'll give you evidence now. The Prophet says that I committed zina, yeah? Hand commit a zina. And the private part, he affirms it, meaning you fall into the zina. So touch becomes hug. Look, touch, one state lead to another, eventually you fall into the major sin. You never see men who just jump on each other. Lola, it doesn't work like that. It takes time. It takes time. I have to say sometimes I have to talk like that. You know, they meet, they talk, they shake hand, they become close. You know, eventually goes to the big stage. So sin leads to sin. And Ibn Qayyim says that people commit sin to defend the sins. So sin gives birth. And I will agree with that, yeah. You can say, if committed a sin because of that sin, yeah, because you never made tawbah. So one Prophet said that when someone commits a sin, he gets a black mark on his heart. And if he doesn't make tawbah, he'll commit more sins until the heart becomes blackened. So sin does make you cause another sin, yadu billah. So you can blame the sin. I commit sin because of that sin, a'udhu billah. And you have to learn from it. You committed sin because of that, don't commit that sin again. Make tawbah, repent, come back to it again. Is it okay, akhi? Yeah, go on.
I think from what I understand sort of that is that, say if you commit a sin, like you didn't come up, and then the next day, for example, like someone steals your car, or someone like an earthquake happens, or you lose your son. So some two unrelated things, like one you commit sin and two a calamity happens, a musibah. Can you say the musibah happened because?
Yeah, because of the sin. Allah said in the Quran, فَلْيَحْذَرِ الَّذِينَ يُخَالِفُونَ عَنْ أَمْرِهِ أَن تُصِيبَهُمْ فِتْنَةٌ أَن يُصِيبَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. Allah said in the Quran, the ulama of the usul, they use this ayah, the amr here mean command, mean obligatory. He said that, let the people know, Allah said, warn the people, those go against the commandment of Allah, lest the punishment of Allah will come down. The amr here, command. So they said that because you've left act of obligatory, the punishment of Allah coming down. So the ummah will be punished for disobeying or going against the commandment of Allah. Okay, and amrihi, his command. He's telling you to pray, you don't pray. Look, let me give you another scenario. Battle of Uhud. What happened to the believers? They lost, isn't it? What happened? What did they lose? They disobeyed the Prophet. They went against his command. Subhanallah, look at the punishment of Allah came down. Everybody was punished and they lost the battle. This is a classical example. So, yeah, so one calamity can come because of your disobeying to Allah. And that's look happened to the companions, the best of the mankind. So sin leads to sins, and the calamity can come down to you because of the sin. So you may come back to Allah Azza wa Jal. Yes, that's obvious. Yeah, subhanallah. Also, maybe that you're committing sin, you can't get up for Fajr. That's a punishment. You can't get up. Shaykh Sulaiman Ruhaili, one of the sheikhs said that, you sin so much, you can't read Quran. You don't feel tranquility reading Quran, getting up for Fajr. Because the sins blackens the heart and it makes the iman go down. And Allah gives the calamity for you to go back to Allah, to realize. If you have the aql, you realize that you go back to Allah Azza wa Jal. Inshallah.
You said about Khawarij, about believing that one, and then the other one was like
Mu'tazila.
Is that good?
These are all Mu'tazila, Khawarij, they have same belief when it comes to major sins, except that Mu'tazila says that a person commits major sin in dunya, he is in between two stages, Iman and disbelief. He's not a believer, not a disbeliever. I don't know what is it in the middle. So nobody knows. So, but when they die upon that, they die as a kafirs. And on the day of judgment, they'll be doomed in the hellfire for eternity. And they are upon Ahlul Bid'ah. They worship Allah based, they take the ayah of Wa'id. You know the ayah of Wa'id, which is threat. Allah threat you with punishment, hellfire, things like that. Wrath of Allah, curse of Allah. They worship Allah based on these ayat. But their ayat are wa'ad, which is a promise. They forget the promise Allah made in the Quran. His mercy, His forgiveness and all that. So the Khawarij, they worship, and Mu'tazila, they worship Allah upon fear. Everything upon fear. Because of fear, this is what they say. You're going to be kafir. Okay, don't commit major sin. Yes, true. We don't commit major sin. You commit major sin, you are kafir. They worship Allah based on khawf, fear. The Murji'ah and the Sufi, they worship Allah upon hope. Hope. Just have hope in Allah. Allah forgive you. You commit major sin, don't worry, Allah forgive you. Iman will not have an effect in you. Don't worry about it. This is another extreme. Ahlul Sunnah worships Allah, love and hope and fear. Okay? They raise their hope and they raise their fear. Both of them. And attached to that is the love as well, love of Allah. So the Ahlul Sunnah are in the middle. So Khawarij and Mu'tazila, this is their belief when it comes to major sins. Those who commit major sins, they're kuffar. Khalas. So this is their belief. And Prophet specifically spoke about Khawarij. There's so many hadiths about Khawarij. And one of them is that Khawarij are dogs of the hell. That's what it is. He mentioned it by name. Subhanallah. طيب. خلاص. السلام عليكم.